We'll go to Chair Fraser. Item 5. Come forward, please. Welcome. And this is item 5. This is AB 194. You have the floor, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I want to thank you for the opportunity to present AB 194. And by the way, thank you for your co-authoring with me, Senator Bell. It meant a lot. In brief, AB 194 vests the California Transportation Commission with the authority to authorize Caltrans and regional transportation agencies to develop toll facilities. Members, imagine a world where our transportation system flows effortlessly, where travel trips are reliable, quick, and short. Well, members, that's not the world we live in. Regional transportation agencies up and down the state, as well as Caltrans, struggle with meeting the challenges of increasing traffic congestion and with fewer and fewer tools. Many of these agencies have come to the legislature seeking authority to develop toll programs for congestion management, and we've granted them the authority. AB 194 builds on these earlier successes, and it continues to see the CTC Hot Lane program and extends it to Caltrans. Members, AB 194 is mostly about local control. If our regional transportation agencies, which are governed by locally elected officials, believe a hot lane or a toll facility is their best option for managing congestion, then we should get out of the way and let them do it. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Other speakers in favor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Keith Dunn on behalf of the self-help counties, and I don't need to tell you, Mr. Chairman, about the self-help counties as you were there when we first got started, but for those of you that may not be aware, self-help counties have gone out and on a 2/3 vote raised a half-cent sales tax, and then go out and meet and build projects that they've laid out to the community with oversight from a locally elected board and professional staff. We're very much in support of AB 194. We thank you, Senator, for your co-authorship of this important measure. As we start looking at the funding question here in the state of California, how we're going to deliver our infrastructure for the future and for the mobility of our citizens, authorizing different procurement methods and delivery and tolling options are going to be an important part of that discussion. We think 194 is at the right time to authorize on a statewide basis. We would ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Kurt Evans. I'm with the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority. As you know, Mr. Chairman, we are making a major commitment in Santa Clara County to building out a comprehensive express lanes network. However, under current state law, we are capped at just 2 corridors. We believe it makes sense to put in place a way for my agency as well as other regional transportation agencies to pursue express lanes without having to seek specific legislative authorization on a corridor-by-corridor basis. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for co-authoring this bill, and respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Speakers in favor, please. Yes.
Mr. Chair, members, Josh Shaw. For the California Transit Association, revenues from these programs can be used in the corridor for purposes like public transit. We support the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Matt Robinson on behalf of the San Mateo City County Association of Governments. We are the Congestion Management Agency in San Mateo County, and I'd ask for your aye vote.
Steve Wallach on behalf of the Alameda County Transportation Commission and the Napa County Transportation Planning Agency in support.
Mr. Chairman, Janie Bauer on behalf of the Solano Transportation Authority in strong support.
Mr. Chairman and members, Delaney Hunter on behalf of the San Bernardino Associated Governments in strong support.
Thank you. Can we have speakers opposing this measure, please? Are there people here opposing this? We'd like to have them come forward if they could, please. And I see none. We have a motion on this bill. Questions of the author? I see none. Would you like to close, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I honestly did not coordinate my colors with Senator Leyva today. I respectfully ask your aye vote.
Okay. Let's call a roll, please. Good job.
The motion is due pass and refer to the Committee on Appropriations. Bell?
Aye.
Bell, aye. Cannella?
Aye.
Cannella, aye. Allen? Aye. Allen, aye. Bates? Gaines? Galgiani? Leyva? Aye. Leyva, aye. McGuire? Mendoza? Roth? Aye. Roth, aye. Wachowski? Aye. Wachowski, aye. So
thank you. We're on call, a 6-0 vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members.
Let's file order. We have Assemblymember Gaines is next filer. This is item 8, AB 738. This is the Sacramento Regional Transit District. We have these Sacramento bills today, so welcome. First Sacramento bill, and Assemblymember Gaines, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman Bell and members. AB 738 would help provide a more updated and streamlined way for cities and counties to participate in RT services and amenities. AB 738 also creates an updated process for annexation and detachment of territory in RT. I appreciate the committee staff's diligent work with both the sponsor and the City of Elk Grove to address the city's issues. I'm pleased to accept the recommendation of the committee to amend the bill on the points highlighted in the analysis. I respectfully ask for your aye vote. With me here today to testify and answer any questions that you may have is Mike Wiley, representing Sacramento Regional Transit.
Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, Chairman Bell and members of the committee. As indicated, I'm Mike Wiley. I'm the General Manager for the Sacramento Regional Transit District. Let me start off by saying I really appreciate the time that we spent with your staff in looking at the issues that were raised by the City of Elk Grove. We believe we've identified a number of options to address their concerns and are very supportive of the proposed direction that staff has identified and are very supportive of that. With the passage of this, it will actually allow us to be more responsive to the smaller jurisdictions that we serve or we have relationships with and coordinate services with. This will allow us to meet their concerns as well as provide a more unified and integrated service, and respectfully request your support.
Thank you. Other witnesses in favor of this bill, please. Welcome.
Mr. Chairman and members, Jason Gonzalez representing the City of Elk Grove. We too appreciate the time of the committee and your staff, and with the conceptual language we expect to remove our opposition, and want to thank the author and again the committee.
Do we have any other witnesses in favor? Do we have witnesses in opposing this bill? Witnesses opposing this bill? And I see none. We have a motion. Are there questions of the author? Seeing none, you have a closing statement.
Respectfully request an aye vote. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Good close. And we'll call the roll, please.
The motion is due pass as amended. Bell?
Aye.
Bell, aye. Canella?
Aye.
Canella, aye. Allen? Allen, aye. Bates? Bates, aye. Gaines? Galgiani? Leyva? Leyva, aye. McGuire? Mendoza? Roth? Roth, aye. Wachowski? Wachowski, aye.
7-0 on call. We'll leave the item open for Senator Gaines to come back and vote for the measure.
That's right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. We'll go to Sebastian Ridley Thomas's bill, AB 808, Assembly Member, item 10. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, colleagues. I'm presenting AB 808, which first I'd like to acknowledge that we're going to accept proposed amendments on page 2 of the analysis. This bill expands the authority of the California Department of Food and Agriculture to ensure that the alternative motor vehicle fuels and automotive projects are regulated in a similar manner to traditional fuels and automotive projects, petroleum products. This has been the product of a rather intense stakeholder process over the last year and a half or so, and we think that this will help provide regulatory certainty that will allow more alternatives for transportation vehicles in particular to reach consumer consumption. With that, we would ask for an aye vote, and we have witnesses that can speak to the merits of the proposal.
Okay, thank you, Assembly Member. Witnesses.
Hi, Taylor Roshan with the Department of Food and Agriculture. I also have with me Kevin Schnepp, who's the head of Alternative Fuels Laboratory at the Division of Measurement Standards. The Department of Food and Agriculture is the official sponsor of AB 808. The bill provides CDFA with the necessary regulatory authority to ensure that all alternative motor vehicle fuels and products are regulated in an appropriate manner. Without such protections, the retail viabilities of these fuels will be compromised. More specifically, the bill allows the department to be responsive to the dynamic nature of the alternative fuels market. As a new fuel is introduced in California, the department would have the authority with this bill to develop fuel quality standards. AB 808 also allows for the implementation of uniform price sign advertising and labeling of these alternative fuels and motor vehicle products. We believe that this will allow consumers to make value-based judgments on the products they're potentially purchasing. Finally, emerging alternative fuels provide energy security, economic, and environmental benefits to the state. We believe that AB 808 is critical to achieving the state's energy goals and as well as facilitating new technologies. We have, as iterated by the member, we've had extensive stakeholder conversations, and we really think that we've developed good policy here. So we appreciate any consideration you can take, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other witnesses supporting this bill? Please come forward. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Ryan Kenny, I'm sorry? Oh. Ryan Kenny, Clean Energy, in full support.
I'm Schneider on behalf of the California Natural Gas Vehicle Coalition in support, and we'd like to thank the author for working with us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any opposition to this bill? I see none. Questions to the offer from the committee? Is there a motion on this bill? Motion on this bill for approval. And it's with the amendments. Please call the roll, please. Or, excuse me, would you like a close?
We respectfully request an aye vote, Senator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Call the roll, please.
The motion is do pass as amended and refer to the Committee on Appropriations. Bell?
Aye.
Bell, I. Canella?
Aye.
Canella, I. Allen? Allen, I. Bates? Bates, I. Gaines? Gaines, I. Galgiani? Leyva? Leyva, I. McGuire? Mendoza? Roth? Roth, I. Wachowski? Wachowski, I. So
Thank you. 8-0, we'll leave it on call for other members to vote. Go to item 12. Assemblymember Perea is here. And welcome, Assemblymember. This is AB 904. In item 12, members, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Let me begin by thanking the chair and the committee staff for working with us on this bill. I know it wasn't an easy one to work on, and we still have a lot of work to do, I think, going forward, but I appreciate the opportunity to present the bill with the amendments, so I want to thank you for that, and look forward to answering questions. So AB 904 would create the Clean Used Vehicle Rebate Project that would increase access to clean vehicles for all Californians. This bill would provide an incentive for low to middle income Californians who cannot afford a new vehicle to purchase a clean used vehicle. Specifically, it will give individuals the option to either receive a rebate of up to $1,800 for the purchase of a clean used vehicle, or a replacement battery warranty, or an extended warranty. Many of you I'm sure, are familiar with the existing Clean Vehicle Rebate Project that offers car rebates for the purchases of new electric vehicles or plug-in electric. According to the Center for Sustainable Energy, more than 93,843 rebates have been issued to date in California. However, just as an example, in Fresno County, where 8 out of the top 10 most disadvantages in California are located, only 756 rebates have been issued, accounting for less than 1% of the total rebates. Senators, the reason we introduced this bill was to try to create some equity within many of the programs that exist where we are trying to incentivize individuals to move towards a cleaner, different technologies. I understand that to vote for this, and before we introduced it, I even struggled with sort of the idea of having to double count in many cases. We are subsidizing vehicles twice. That's what we're asking you to do today. And that is a challenge to overcome. But having said that, there are parts of California, there are Californians who can't afford a brand new clean vehicle, even with the rebate that exists. So the question is this a program that is only meant for individuals who can afford it? Or should we be incentivizing all Californians, regardless of income, and giving them the opportunity to switch to a cleaner, a clean used vehicle when they become available. So a couple things I'd like to ask you to think about is, one, in the next 2 to 3 years, we expect a very large secondary clean vehicle market because many of the leases that are currently in play will be up. So we believe that there will be a huge secondary market for places like Fresno, the Central Valley, the Riverside, and other places where many of these vehicles will be very soon in reach for these individuals. The second thing I'd like to ask you to think about is specifically to the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District. I represent a district that is very likely going to face a federal takeover of our air district because we have not met the standards set forth by the EPA in meeting our air quality attainment. And we know that there are many reasons why we are struggling to get there, not the least of which are vehicles. And a couple of weeks ago, I was before this committee trying to incentivize with AB 857 a switch from diesel to natural gas for truckers, because we know that truckers, large diesel trucks, are one of the single sources of pollution in places like the Central Valley. But we also know that passenger vehicles are as well a very big piece of the challenge. So what we're trying to do through this bill is incentivize the middle class and the lower income to keep these cars on the road and in our communities where we believe will have a huge impact, both on the environment and the economy for places like the Central Valley, the Inland Empire, and other communities. And so with that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Witnesses in favor. Witnesses in favor, please.
Good afternoon, Chairman Bell and respected members of the committee. I'm Dave Pusey on behalf of NRDC, here to voice our support for AB 904. As we know, California is home to some of the most polluted regions in the country, and transportation accounts for about 40% of the state's greenhouse gas emissions. Unfortunately, disadvantaged communities, including, for example, many in the Central Valley, are often quite disproportionately impacted by this pollution. As a result, people in these communities suffer from higher rates of asthma and other serious health ailments, as well as premature deaths. Indeed, on average, Californians are nearly twice as likely to die prematurely from traffic pollution as from car accidents. The Clean Reused Vehicle Rebate Project, established by AB 904, will help Californians from disadvantaged communities with low and moderate incomes gain greater access to zero-emission and hybrid vehicles. This will not only benefit their health, but also their pocketbook. Right now, many of these low-income families in these disadvantaged communities end up spending a lot of their money on fuel, often having to drive long distance in inefficient gas guzzlers. However, if AB 904 helps them upgrade to an efficient, clean vehicle, the electricity that they'll use to meet their daily driving needs would be the cost equivalent of about $1 per gallon of gasoline. And if they have to switch to hybrid mode for longer trips, they'll still enjoy much needed savings on gasoline because of the greater fuel efficiency of their more efficient vehicles. So this bill offers both economic and health benefits for those who need it most. Finally, AB 904 helps all Californians by further advancing the deployment of zero-emission and hybrid vehicles, which is needed to meet our state's air and climate goals, improving everyone's health, and helping to mitigate the dangers of climate change. So we ask for your aye vote on AB 94. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, other witnesses.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Will Barrett with the American Lung Association in California. We appreciate the author's work and focus on bringing zero-emission vehicle technology to our most polluted communities and regions and to protect against climate change at the same time. The American Lung Association's annual report found 6 of the 10 most polluted United States cities are in California, many in the San Joaquin Valley and Southern California regions that Assemblymember Perea noted. This is largely due to our overdependence on fossil fuel transportation choices. The expanded use of zero-emission vehicle technology is vital to achieving both our air quality and climate change goals and protecting the health of all residents. So we support this effort to expand access to zero-emission vehicle technology options to our most polluted communities and our most disadvantaged communities who can't afford potentially the full price of a new vehicle. So we thank you for supporting this bill and for advancing the fight for clean air.
Good morning, Chair and members. Katrina Robinson on behalf of Valley Clean Air Now. We're a nonprofit that works with the board to provide vehicle repair and replacement for low-income individuals in the Valley. We are supportive of the bill and especially of the extended vehicle warranties and the battery warranties for repairs on these clean, renewable vehicles. Those are some of the costliest repairs for low-income individuals, and one of the things keeping low-income individuals from purchasing new EVs and low-emission vehicles. And I would also like to especially point out that I think the CVRP is not just about paying for one specific vehicle and if we're paying for it twice or not. I really think it's about changing behavior. And even if it's a second bump of state funding toward promoting that vehicle on the marketplace, and even if we've helped somebody buy it as a new vehicle, if we're helping a disadvantaged community member get into a new vehicle, we're changing their behavior, and they're much more likely when they go out and purchase cars in the future to purchase a zero-emission vehicle. I think one of the biggest hurdles has just been getting people comfortable with these vehicles. So I don't see it as a huge problem that the state would pay for a vehicle twice. Thank you.
Other witnesses, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Matt Robinson on behalf of the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District. We appreciate Assemblymember Perea's efforts to improve the air quality in the valley, and I think this is one step in that direction. With that, I'd ask for your aye vote.
Matt Klopfenstein on behalf of the Union of Concerned Scientists, also in support.
Okay, we have all the witnesses in favor of this bill. Are there witnesses opposing this bill? And I see none. Questions from the committee. Motion? Senator Cannella. Senator Gaines.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the Assemblymember for bringing this bill forward. I know we've talked a lot about the valley and some of the poor areas, and hey, they don't benefit from these programs that the state offers. And in fact, I'm disappointed you had to lower the cost down. Honestly, I would rather see it be twice as much. And then on the other rebates for the people that make a lot of money should get $0 back, because really the wealthy have benefited from this program and the poor have not benefited at all. So maybe that's something we can work on next year, because if we can get more electric vehicles or zero emission vehicles into the valley, our air quality would be much better. But I think this is a modest first step. Hopefully the folks in our district could benefit from this. And then, because a lot of times it's more about the money for them. They'd love to drive cars that get 50 miles per gallon, right? But they're poor, and so they drive cars that get 8 to 10 miles per gallon. They're probably 20 years old. So I think this is a modest first step, and hopefully we can build upon this in the next year or so and really look out for those districts that need these vehicles. So thank you. Appreciate that.
We have Senator Gaines.
Yeah, great. I want to thank Assemblymember Perea for bringing this forward. But I had a question. You mentioned double rebate. Could you explain what that looks like?
So the criticism, and it's a legitimate criticism, and as I mentioned in my opening statement, even I struggled with this idea when I introduced the bill, is so many of these clean clean vehicles in the CVRP are given a rebate to purchase these when they're brand new. What we're suggesting with AB 904 is as these leases come up and a larger secondary market is created, we want to subsidize it again. The difference is that we're targeting a different group of people. So, you know, you got to sort of get over that. I know that I had a hard time trying to get over that, but really when I think about what it is we're trying to do and who it is we're trying to help, these are individuals that even in a secondary market are still going to need an incentive to get them to choose a clean used vehicle as opposed to what they're probably driving right now.
Okay. And one of your witnesses mentioned batteries. So
right.
How does that work? Because I know
one of the concerns
isn't a 10-year, 150,000-mile warranty.
Yeah. So So one of the amendments we took was for. So an individual who received a rebate, and we're going again up to $1,800, could be for the purchase of a vehicle or for the replacement battery or for a battery warranty. So we can make sure that as individuals are picking up these used cars, that there's some certainty there that they're going to be able that there'll be in an electric car that will work, because technology changes, it gets old, needs prepared, so that's why we added the battery piece.
Good, that's great. When I was on the Board of Supervisors in Placer, we'd always talk about what was happening in San Joaquin, and that was 10 years ago. So you're still struggling to try to clean the air up there, so I'll be supporting your bill.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was just going to quickly add, if I may, that Valley Clean Air now is running the program in the Central Valley that's currently under a De Leon bill, getting EVs out to the community. And one of the things we spoke to the author about was that we were worried about setting disadvantaged communities up for high repair costs. So a battery rebate or protective warranty to cover battery and costly repairs associated with the computer and some other high-tech elements would be extremely helpful and encourage adoption.
Thank you. Bob Witkowski, Senator Witkowski. Oh, boy.
One of the criticisms is that if we don't require the retirement of these smog cars, then we'll just be adding more vehicles to these non-attainment areas. Admittedly, we're going to add an electric vehicle, an EV vehicle, but there's no requirement that the supposedly polluting vehicles that are there are retired. That's not in the bill. What say ye?
I believe we're already doing that. I mean, we already have it's my understanding that we already have a vehicle retirement program, and that's assuming that somebody has a vehicle to retire. I think what this program is looking to do is target the middle to lower class, income folks who maybe they're in the market to buy a new car. They're good, or buy at least a new car for the family, maybe a used car, but a new car for the family. So what we're trying to do is incentivize those individuals to buy a clean used vehicle as opposed to what they might go buy on their own without the incentive, and that is a car that could be 10, 15, 20 years old. I mean, it's not uncommon, especially in places in the Central Valley where you have farm workers who are making $17,000 a year. You sort of just buy a car, you buy your neighbor's car, you buy a car that's sort of sitting in the lot that someone's looking to get rid of. Rural California is a very different place than urban California, and to try to incentivize those individuals to make a different choice when they are in the market for a used vehicle that would be new for the family, we think that what we have in front of you will provide that incentive, or at least an incentive, to give that consumer a choice in looking towards the purchase of their vehicle that they'll be providing for their family. And again, coming from a place like the Central Valley where we really think that the federal government is going to take over our air district because we just can't meet the attainment goals and criteria, we're looking for every incentive, every opportunity to meet our air quality attainment standards, and we think that this could be just one of many tools in the toolbox.
All right.
Okay, we have a motion. And any other questions?
I do. I have.
Senator Bates.
On the incentive for the new car purchase, if someone purchases that and gets that rebate, and I understand that's right now there's over 100,000 people who have taken advantage of that. It's about $228 million so far as in 2015. If that person retired, they sell their low emission vehicle and they buy a new one, do they get another rebate in purchasing a new one? And does a person who's...
I think they do.
Yeah, because...
I think they would.
I think the cost factor here could be an unintended consequence of something going in the right direction. So I think I'm a little resistant to supporting it today. I just think we need more information on that because it is one of the funds is the greenhouse gas fund, the cap and trade, I'm assuming, and the other funding sources, $1 on the vehicle license fee for the different levels. There's 4 or 3 programs right now, a total of, if you got a rebate on every one, if you kind of work that system, it'd be over $12,000. And then you're adding this, it's another $1,800. So those are costs, maybe not all the same person, potentially the same person could get a couple. I'm wondering if we want to spend our money that quickly in this particular program. Those would be my concerns.
And I appreciate that. And just a quick response, just giving a note from my staff that in our bill, and I want to ask my staff to come up here for a second, that we limit the rebate to one vehicle. And is this one vehicle per family, per person? How does that read?
I mean, we haven't defined it, but we limit it to one.
So we limit the rebate to one vehicle for that individual, at least on the used side.
Yeah.
But the scenario in which you described for a new vehicle, I mean, yeah, I think that's a real scenario, but I'm not sure that scenario applies to this bill.
Well, I think it's something that going forward, if an amendment is needed, because we have 2 parking lots in Orange County that are now Tesla stations, and we know they're getting the rebates.
Yes, they are.
So I think we need to look at the manner in which we are distributing that funding source, and it's going to the people and the Central Valley specifically that you're very concerned with.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Senators. One of the things I noticed in these subsidy programs for clean vehicles is that there's many different programs, and it seems like addressing Senator Canella's point is that there's like 3 or 4 pages of different programs, okay? You know, you got dozens, you know, all these different programs, okay? The question is, does the right hand know what the left hand's doing, you know? And how do we, is there a way we can have, I would call it a one-stop shop kind of approach to somebody applying for some kind of rebate? And I think if we look into that, I think it's something we should do. Mm-hmm. And we talked about that, of course.
Absolutely. And in fact, I think one of the suggestions made by this committee that we have taken into our bill is that it does require the ARB to coordinate with the CVRP and other programs to make sure that we're not duplicating our efforts.
Yeah. So I think that will result in a better frame for us to discuss, you know, the bigger policies issues that you were raising, which I agree with. So we both agree on that. We have a motion on this bill. Are there any further questions? Would you like to close?
Just respectfully ask for your aye vote, and again, thank the committee and the staff for working with us on this. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much, and we'll call the roll, please.
The motion is due pass and refer to the Committee on Environmental Quality. Bell?
Aye.
Bell, aye. Canella?
Aye.
Canella, aye. Allen? Bates? Gaines? Galgiani? Leyva? Aye. Leyva, aye. McGuire? Mendoza? Roth? Aye. Roth, aye. Wachowski?
Say aye. Just say aye.
What's your votes? All right, that's okay. Okay.
Thank you.
That's 4-0. We're on call.
Thank you.
We'll wait till other members can vote. Okay. So we'll go to item 7. Assemblymember McCarty is here. AB 422. And we now have the second Sacramento Regional Transit District bill. We considered the other one before, and now we have your bill. And as Assemblymember Cooper is the third one. He's in the audience as well. So you're item 7, he's item 13. So why don't we, is it all right with the members if you want to hear the bills, your bill first, and then we'll hear Assemblymember Cooper's bill next, okay? So we'll talk Sacramento for a little bit.
RT is well represented today.
Thank you. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm here to present to you AB 422 on behalf of the Sacramento Regional Transit District, which is a very unique RT district created in the state PUC code, very different than many other districts from throughout California in your neighborhoods, which is why I'm here today. This bill would help dealing with their financing of their funds coming in to help essentially balance their budget. In some, RT has relied on short-term borrowing under the TRANS statute, but the TRANS statute is an imperfect tool for issuing these types of revolving lines of credit because of how the grant funding is distributed over a 12-month maturity date is not long enough, because what happens is the money many times comes in up to a year and a half too late, and the banks are more and more concerned as far as doing the loans with these limited tools. And so RT is faced with challenges as far as meeting their basic operating budget, and this would focus on allowing them greater flexibility. And we want to, of course, take the committee amendments outlined up front and thank the committee for allowing us to work with you on these issues. And with me today, I have our RT Transit Director to answer some questions.
Thank you. Welcome.
It's my pleasure to address the committee again, and thank you very much for having us. This legislation would actually reduce our operating cost. It would save us on financing costs that we bear each year as we renew our line of credit. It'll give us a longer duration so that we're not basically paying finance costs, lawyers, and other folks to renew these things. Unfortunately, we're stuck in a situation that we don't see an immediate end to, which is this ongoing feud between RT and other transit systems in California, the state of California, and the Federal Department of Labor over our newly enacted public employee retirement law, which the Federal Department of Labor continues to think we violate state or federal law. Consequently, federal funding for many systems in California is continuing to be delayed. This legislation will give us, as I said, more flexibility. It creates a longer-term borrowing period for it. And with the amendments as proposed by staff, it puts in limitations that directly ties the payoff, if you will, of that borrowing once we receive those funds. So we would urge your support of the legislation as well.
Okay, thank you. Speakers in favor, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Kiara Ross on behalf of the City of Sacramento in support of the bill.
Thank you. Other witnesses in favor, please. Seeing none. Witnesses opposing this measure, please. I see none. We have a motion. Any questions of the author? Okay, you have a closed statement.
Thank you for your consideration. Ask for your aye vote.
Okay, thank you. We'll call the roll, please.
The motion is due pass as amended. Bell?
Aye.
Bell, aye. Cannella? Aye. Cannella, aye. Allen? Bates? Gaines? Galgiani? Galgiani, aye. Leyva? Aye. Leyva, aye. McGuire? Mendoza? Roth? Aye. Roth, aye. Wachowski? Wachowski, aye.
Thank you. 6-0, and we'll leave it on call for other members to vote. And